The Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, Final Fantasy, Hades, Animal Crossing, and Do Eternal. All titles released in 2020 were also the nominees for the Game of the Year.
And now, the Game of the Year award goes to...
But I think that out of this title, this one was actually the best game of the year. What's up, y'all? I'm Hack, and I still remember the day that a friend came to me and said, "Yo, check out this game called Risk of Rain. It's a platform roguelike where the difficulty increases as time passes." And at first I didn't thought the game was kinda enjoyable. It was kinda boring and stiff, but sometimes I like to keep playing just to see if it gets me somehow. And by keeping the persistence of playing the game, I started to really enjoy it. I started playing the game a lot actually with one of my friends. You used to go to all these runs, try to get as many items as possible, and try to unlock every character present. But all of that experience didn't last that long. Actually, we kept playing for about 1 week and then I already dropped it, went to another game. But then about some years after we played, I saw the announcement of the second title releasing on Steam as an early access, and I immediately contacted my friend saying, "Yo, look, they are making a second game." And the most incredible thing was that they changed that whole platform game to a 3D shooter, and really by the screenshot, the trailer, the game really looked incredible. So when it actually released an early access, I still remember that it had that offer where if you bought the game on the first day of release, you get an extra copy to give to someone else, and that was actually incredible. I could not lose such an offer, so I gave the copy to my friend, and boom, we were instantly in love with the game. Like everything was just extremely perfect, and although the game didn't have that much content, we still managed to play for about 50 hours, trying to get all the items possible, all the things of the game, meet every boss, know every stage, and unlock every character, even though it didn't have that much character at the time. But the title by itself was extremely incredible, making us get so overhyped by each update that they used to announce. When they finally announced the final version of the game with the end and everything, we got so excited and literally were counting the day until the release. And when the day finally came, the game was just incredible. The whole experience was incredible. The enemies, the bosses, the stage, and what I think is the best song of the entire game. And I know that it may sound kinda weird to you to hear me talking that the game was actually better than The Last of Us Part 2 or Ghost of Tsushima or all these titles that were nominees for the Game of the Year. But it actually was. It is not like I'm saying that the other games were horrible or something. No, they were incredible. But Risk of Rain 2 touched a specific part in my heart that none of this game actually touched. And I don't actually know what it was. If it was the immersion, the difficulty, or the gameplay, or the characters, I don't know. It just touched. So that's exactly why I wanted to make this video. I want to talk more about the whole experience of Risk of Rain. What is that make it so special, and for me, an absolute masterpiece. So I remember when I first entered the game, I was entirely confused, although I already knew what the game was about since I played the first title. But something that really mesmerized me, made me feel like this title is completely different from every other roguelike game or AAA game, is the color. Because here the graphics are not ultra realistic, they do not try to bend to the way actually. It is kind of simple, and the choice of turning everything to a cartoon style really suits with the whole proposition of the entire game. You really need the game to be something that can run in a low-end PC and do not end up blowing our graphic cards because of the amount of enemies extremely detailed on the screen. But even so, the whole graphic is cartoon or simple. I would say that is kind of unique. You know, I like to say that the graphic in Risk of Rain 2 kind of reminds me of a Nintendo 64 game, but obviously more polished. And when it comes to the environment, the graphics can really express that whole different planet vibe that the game gives us, because, you know, we're getting a planet to save the survivors, you know. So in my opinion, the scenario is not really the most important thing in the game, because really most part of the time you just need the chance to have a place to run off, or, you know, look for the items, your search and everything, or just give that kind of a different vibe, make you feel like you're not playing the same stage every time. But some stages have their own complexity, like with the hidden items, secrets, bosses, or, you know, the chests that we always find on the 4th stage. And I guess that the whole thing with the scenarios in the game game are to connect with a story that, honestly, I never really looked into it, but I know for a fact that it's about this guy here, Mifet, who threw a worm in a well and was sealed by his brother because his brothers loved worms. I guess it's something like that. But when it comes to immersion in the game, something that really stands out is the soundtrack, because oh god, you know, sometimes while I listen to the whole soundtrack of Risk of Rain, I just feel like Drake. Cause oh god, the soundtrack of this game is so incredible. And as a person that always try to learn new things in the music, the Risk of Rain 2 soundtrack for me has a thing that most part of the songs in nowadays, and I mean by all the medias, not only video games, but like the songs that we hear to the day, the soundtrack of the music, you know, every kind of audio media, they are missing originality, and that's what this game have in their soundtrack. I literally put the entire soundtrack in my Spotify playlist because it's so amazing, and props to Chris Christodoulou, who created a masterpiece in terms of video game soundtrack. One of the best soundtrack I've ever heard in a video game, and that's what carries the whole immersion of Risk of Rain 2. You literally don't have the same vibe when you play it with the soundtrack or without it. Is absolutely phenomenal, and I could literally be talking about the whole soundtrack for about an hour, but I'm just gonna tell my two favorite songs of the entire game. They are The Rain, formerly known as Purple, and Con Lentitude Poderosa. Especially the last one is just incredible. I still remember the day that I played after the first release, and when I got to the last stage, it started with these piano notes. It was just kind of giving the vibe that the game was about to end, and then all of a sudden it comes the fucking guitar solo that is not really complex. It's kind of simple to do it, but really the choice of distortion alongside the time where I start to play is just so amazing, bro. Like really, Risk of Rain 2 has an incredible immersion, and I think that all of that is due to the amazing work of Chris Christodoulou. I will always remember the soundtrack of this amazing game. Sometimes I like to say that roguelikes is all about difficulty. Not going to an extreme side as Dark Souls or Elden Ring or Sekiro, but it's really all about keep it going through all the runs and try over again and all over again until you finally reach the end. And Risk of Rain is not different from that. The game can really be tough most part of the time. You're gonna find yourself struggling against the amount of enemies on the screen, trying to run away but not completely because you were unlucky enough to not get enough movement speed in your run, or maybe you're gonna fall off a cliff by accident, ended up with an extremely low amount of health, and then a motherfucker just sneak up at you and eat your fucking ass, bro. This game is no different from any other roguelike game in terms of difficulty. It is kinda hard, and the fact that as time passes, it's gonna get harder at the point where the game starts laughing at your face. It's just frustrating but satisfying at the same time. Cause like, if you play in a normal run where you don't really know what items are gonna come in the chest or what bosses are gonna appear, sometimes you're gonna end up dying on the first stage or become an extreme god where the only thing that is gonna stop you is your own computer. And that's the exact part where you get satisfaction, because you're always gonna keep trying again until you reach that point. And even though the game proposition is as time passes it gets harder, sometimes it's quite the opposite. Like you get so strong by each item that you get that the game becomes actually easier to beat. And if you don't feel like beating, you end up in a loop where the game will be forcing you to sacrifice yourself, or I don't know, just quit because you have not slept and you need to work in about 20 minutes. And how could I talk about the whole difficult system of the game if I don't mention the enemies? And the enemies here are basically constantly spawning throughout the entire run. Increases the spawn rate as the time passes, and also changing their type as you proceed throughout the run. Like on the first stage you're gonna meet this Lemurian? What the Yo, I really always thought that this shit was a lizard, but okay. Going from this Lemurian to a motherfucker green flying urchin who cuts all of your healing, fucking you up, and ending that whole 4 hours run where you put all of your efforts on it. And also we need to talk about the bosses, cause what is a game without the bosses, you know? At least a game that has the proposition of offering challenge to a player. And what I like about the bosses in Risk of Rain is the fact that each one of them has their own challenge that they can offer the player. For example, the Beetle Queen is a giant beetle that vomits acid at you. Actually, for me, it's the easiest boss of the entire game. Also, we have the Magma Worm, who cannot stop for a second. Oh my fucking god. The Impy Overlord, which I have a deep grudge against because... oh my god, I've already died so many times for this shit, bro. And these were like the 3 bosses that I often remember. Obviously, the game has like more than 12 bosses. And if you feel like they are too easy or anything, you can always activate the Mountain Shrine, which will summon more of them, or create an overpowered worm, who you will most likely spend more than 5 minutes trying to kill it. And most part of the time, you're just gonna die by it. And then when you finally reach the final boss, you think that you're strong enough to beat him easily. I'm not actually gonna show anything because maybe some of y'all who are watching this video never played this game, so leave it as a surprise, you know. And if you still think that the game is easy, you can actually increase the difficulty going from the normal to the monsoon, or if it's not hard enough, you can just, I don't know, go extremely crazy, activate all the artifacts and live in a world where you basically cannot breathe wrong, otherwise you're gonna die. So after all, the entire difficulty of the game is hard enough to make you rage quit, but also it rewards you enough to make you keep trying and trying every run, because like you're always gonna try to combine new items or stacks a lot of soda drink just to turn yourself into a fucking rocket and get out of the map in a blink. And for me, it's just nice. I like difficult games, and Risk of Rain gives me enough difficulty to keep playing every now and then. Well, the gameplay. How can I describe the Risk of Rain 2 gameplay? Well, I think I have the best description. An Overwatch 2, but good. Yeah, I know. It may sound kinda controversial or, you know, too extreme, but it's the fucking truth, bro. But something that really makes me amazed with the game is the creativity of the developers to create such unique characters. Like, each survivor has their own way to be played, and I think that's one of the hardest things to do in a game based on playable characters. Like, even the survivors who kind of look like each other are completely different when we talk about gameplay. For example, we can say that Commando, Huntress, and Bandit are kind of the same ranged character, but when you look properly, Bandit only shoots 4 times in a row, Huntress has a fucking aimbot, and Commando is commanded. I mean, he's like the extreme basic of the game, but I still think he's enjoyable. And going to others playstyle, we have Mercenary, Loader, and Accurate. They 3 are melee, but Mercenary be more of a playstyle where be constantly moving around, Loader a heavy bruiser who always rely on the power punch, and Accurate is accurate. There's not much to talk about. He's fucking accurate, I mean. And come on, every survivor of this game can be good on their own way. Like, if you don't feel like playing the game, just pick engineer, build whatever you like, put your turret, go AFK, go do your homework, or do your dishes, or I don't know, do whatever you like. Also, if you wanna feel like a fucking badass, just pick a captain. And even Rex is useful on his own way. Like, he can heal yourself, he can deal the buff. If you manage to get the death mark, you're gonna be extremely strong on the play. Yeah, every survivor in this game is unique and usable. I mean, except this one. I fucking hate Artificer. I don't even know how I got her skin. I just can't. I can't, bro. And another thing that makes all of her runs different from the previous one are the items. Because if the survivors were not unique enough, the items make them even more unique. Like, the combination that you can create with each type of survivor with the right item is almost infinite. Like, for real. Every item in this game is incredible by the fact that you can endlessly stack them up, and the only thing that are gonna stop you are the actual items that have a limit, but most of them don't. So just like I said, you can turn yourself into a fucking rocket. And something that makes me have the wish of erasing my memories is the surprise factor of when you play this game for the first time and have no idea of what each item does. Like, every new item that I used to get was a surprise for me, because I never knew what they actually do. They just give us a brief description, and yeah, obviously after some time you ended up searching in the wiki about what each item do and how they stack up. But truly, I wish I could just return in time and just have all that surprise all over again. And another thing that was also a surprise is the progression. Just like I said back then, and you all probably know, this is a roguelike. And unlike others roguelike, the game don't really change the stage. I mean, it changes, but the stages are always gonna have like the same design. I would say. And the roguelike feature is more based on the RNG and the fact that unlikely the other roguelike titles, Risk of Rain do not have the kind of progression that you see in the other roguelites. For example, in Dead Cells you have the cells, which you can use to upgrade some things that you're always gonna carry throughout the runs, no matter how many times you die. In Risk of Rain, that only counts for the items, where to unlock some items you need to complete some challenge. So literally every run you start from the beginning, and what is gonna define if you're gonna succeed or not are the items, and the system by itself makes the game replayable as many times as you want, and nothing will change the difficulty. Only your understanding about the enemies or some artifact that you find throughout the runs. And if you are like me and enjoy skins for the characters, the game makes you play on the hardest difficulty to earn it. And I really wish that some companies added that kind of feature to the games instead of making us waste our money with a fucking color for a digital character. And overall, Risk of Rain 2 gameplay is just captivating. It makes you want to replay the game every time just to test out new items, new characters, or I don't know, spend your time doing something. Probably some people like to play for that reason most part of the time. And like I said before, the soundtrack is completely amazing. The difficulty is challenging enough for me, and there is something that makes this game so special to me, and I really hope that I'm not the only one who feels that. But I really feel that this game is made with the heart. Like the developers spend their time doing it, but they did not like try to add it useless feature or things just to make the game feel like it has something on it. No, it's like they carved each part of this game, and I say that by the whole game. Like the scenarios, the characters, the enemies, the skills of the character. I mean, this whole game was carved, making this absolute masterpiece that maybe I'll never fully understand why I like it so much, but I don't really need to understand, man. I just feel it, you know what I'm saying? And I would like to congratulate Hopo Game and especially Chris Christodoulou for their amazing work. I'm so thankful for the existence of Risk of Rain 2, and I really hope that if there will be any sequel, y'all do not fall on the same greediness hole that these fucking companies have been falling throughout the years and making another masterpiece to award. Thank you so much. Comment what you thought about the video. If you wanna watch more videos like this, you can watch this one where I talk about Minecraft. Once again, thank you all for watching, and until someday.